It's Friday, February 23rd, 2024. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get right into this video today. I want to thank all of you for joining me. 82 degrees out today, absolutely stunning. Thank God we're alive. Thank God we're here. One thing I want to start with today is this mentality that I've noticed for many, many years in the United States, and I don't want to talk about it. There's nothing I can do about the problems. This is too negative. This is too stressful. There's nothing we can do about it, etc., etc. Nothing will ever get fixed, resolved. There's no way you will ever take action if you cannot admit that there is a problem. And people better wake up to the fact that we're in very, very big trouble and that we have a serious problem in this country, many serious problems. People make too many excuses, and the one is that, well, this is just too negative and I can't deal with it and there's nothing we can do about it. Of course, the first thing you can do with it is you can admit that we're in trouble. You can admit that there's a problem. You know, if you can't even admit that there's a problem, you probably are a lost cause. I can't even believe how many people with kids are not taking this seriously, who cannot face the truth, who will not face reality, either because they're too scared or they're too lazy. If you admit that there is a problem, if you admit that we're in trouble, more than likely, once you've admitted it and you face the facts and you face reality, you will begin to take some sort of action. But so many people in this country have this mentality that it's out of my hands, what will be will be, there's nothing we can do about it, it's too negative, I don't have time to think about it, I don't want to talk about it, nothing can be done. Well, we can all do something by admitting. The first thing we should all do is admit that there's a big, big problem and something must be done. And I think that the more people begin to admit that there's problems, more and more people will come to the realization that they're going to have to take some sort of action, if not for them, for their kids. So don't be one of these zombies who just sweeps this under the rug, who doesn't want to talk about it. The more we voice our opinion, the more that we're at our school board meetings, our city council meetings, the more that we're at our churches asking our pastor, hey, what's going on? Why are you not discussing this or this or this? Why will you not talk about this or this or this? Or why are we as individuals not waking people up in our churches? If you belong to a church, are you discussing this with other people in your church? Are you discussing this with your neighbors, people you work with, people that are in your family, friends, relatives? There's always something we can be doing. Once we've acknowledged there's a problem, then we need to be sounding the alarm and waking people up. You could be making videos. You could be talking to your pastor. You could be talking to your family. You could be talking to your friends. If you wake one person up, fantastic. But to sit there and not admit and to just be silent with what's going on is an absolute sin, in my opinion. There's always something we can be doing. We could be spending our money with companies that believe in what we believe in. We could be not spending our money with organizations and companies that do not believe what we believe in. So there's always something we can be doing, but so many people are asleep in this country, and I will admit, at the same time, more and more people are waking up in this country, so that's at least something positive. The Federal Reserve Governor, Christopher Waller, wants more evidence inflation is cooling before cutting interest rates. Markets continue to ignore this, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know about you, but I don't think there's going to be any 6 or 7 rate cuts this year. I don't think there's going to be 4. Maybe there's 2. Maybe there's 3. Maybe there's none. But the markets who were so euphoric with the 6 or 7 rate cuts now continue to ignore that there will be no 6 or 7 rate cuts, that maybe there'll be 3, maybe there'll be 4, maybe there'll be 2, maybe there'll be none, but they continue to ignore that we're going to be higher for longer. Here's one from CNBC. Credit card interest rates are at record highs. Cards have never been this expensive. Consumers who carry a balance paid on average an APR of 28.8% at the end of 2023. Interest on a card used to be 12.9% just a few years ago in the past decade. Now we're at nearly 23% as balances are at record highs. Think about record high interest rates with record high balances. I don't know how people are doing this. How many millions of people in the next 12 months, 24 months, 6 months are going to be defaulting on these massive balances? WallStreet.com, the housing market is still frozen. If you get a minute, check this one out. I'll just give you some of the highlights here. The national median price of existing homes declined to $379,000 in January, down by 8.4% from the peak in June of 2022. So prices have come down a bit, but they're still way too high. Sales have been the worst since 2 months, have been the worst since the 2 months of the housing bust of 2010. Let me repeat this. Sales have been the worst since the worst 2 months of the housing bust of 2010. Anybody telling you that the real estate market has not crashed is lying to you. This is a full-blown real estate crash at this point. If we look at sales compared to prior Januaries, if we take this January, compare them to the prior Januaries, say we compare this January to January of 2023, sales are down 2%. If we compare this January compared to January of 2022, sales are down 37%. Compared to 2021, sales are down 40%. Compared to 2019, down 20%. And sales of this January compared to January of 2018 are down 26%. Anybody in the mortgage industry, the real estate industry, is getting absolutely annihilated. And it is not going to improve anytime soon. Bankrate.com today, 30-year fixed rate was sitting at around 7.26, I believe, today. And you look at the price of these homes, this is why they're not selling. And all they can do is hope and pray that some miracle is going to take place and they're going to get rates back down to 3 or 4%. And then people can come in and pay overpriced prices on these homes because they can borrow money cheap. It's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. This is what everybody's hoping for, that people will still overpay on a home, but they'll get the mortgage rate down to 3 or 4%. Not going to happen. Prices must come down. I really wish that the Fed would do the right thing and aggressively raise rates and slam the housing market because it is so overvalued. Supply in January was about double from the low in January of 2022. Active listings were the highest since January of 2020. New listings were also a little higher from last year. Days on market jumped to 69 days before the homes were either sold or pulled off the market. I've noticed a lot of homes, looking at homes on Zillow that have been on the market for a very, very long time, and then they're pulled off and then they're put back on. So a home may say, oh, it's been on the market for 14 days, been on the market for 3 days, been on the market for 30 days. Don't believe everything you see or read, ladies and gentlemen, because you don't know how many times that home has been pulled off the market. I'm seeing a lot of this. Or you'll see a slight price reduction. They do anything to freshen up the listing. And so homes are definitely staying on the market longer. Think about just a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, when homes wouldn't last 2 days on the market. Now they're staying on the market much, much longer. And many of them are being pulled off the market, and they'll stay off for 30 days. And then they put the listing back on to freshen it up. And you go, oh, this has only been on for a day or two. No, it's been on for probably 180 days. They just pulled it off to freshen it up. So we're going to continue to see more problems in residential real estate on top of the massive apocalyptic crash in commercial real estate. Daily Mail, home insurance in U.S. jumps an average 23% in a year. Here are the 10 hardest hit states. Unbelievable. And I ask the question again, how are people doing this? The biggest increase since January of 2023, well, the first state is Louisiana, up 63%. Could you imagine your home insurance up 63%? Nebraska, it's up 61%. Colorado, 49%. Arizona, 40%. Utah, 37%. Illinois, 35%. DC, 33%. North Dakota, 33%. Arkansas, 32%. Kansas, 32%. How in the world are people able to do this? 23% on your credit card, and then your home insurance goes up 63%. This is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. Nobody has ever seen anything like this. Everything continues to go up. People cannot catch a break. How many people at some point are going to be forced to sell their homes just because they can't afford to insure their home? Home foreclosures see notable increase amid ongoing cost of living crisis. This on Fox Business today. Lenders repossessed 3,954 U.S. properties in January, a 13% increase from the previous month. 37,679 properties were in foreclosure, had default notices, or scheduled for auction and bank repossessions in January, up 10% from the previous month, up 5% from 2023. Completed foreclosures up 200% in Michigan. They're up 47% in Minnesota, up 43% in California, up 36% in Pennsylvania. Not the direction we want to see things going. Some states are definitely feeling it worse than others, and this is just the beginning. We're only in February of 2024, ladies and gentlemen, and we have looming unemployment over our heads right now, and we're going to see a lot more people losing their jobs. This is just a really sad time in U.S. history, and who knows how bad this is going to get. But if you're reading the writing on the wall like I am, this has a long way to go. This isn't going to be over in a year or 2 years or 3 years. We're probably going to see a very, very rough 10 years, ladies and gentlemen. So it's just beginning. It's about to get much worse. How bad does it get? It's going to get bad. It's going to get real bad. The president's EV mandate vision for America is in full collapse. You know, the markets, as always, will dictate what people buy and don't buy. They don't need these glorified golfing carts or golf carts. People can't afford these cars. They're too overpriced. The inconvenience of charging them, the cost of maintaining them. People just don't want it, and they're proving it. And you have to ask, how much of your taxpayer money went into pushing EVs? How much of your taxpayer money went into putting up these EV stations that nobody's using? And this market is going to be in big trouble. And when you read some more of the news, like today on Fox Business, Rivian to lay off 10% of salaried staff. Their stock today, last I checked, was down to $10.16. I believe at one point it was up at $175, down an additional 11% today. So $10.16 from a stock that was at $175. Lucid was $3.02, down 2.11% today. At one point, it was at $58.05 back in February 18th of 2021. So these companies are collapsing. And what will these people do who bought these cars when they go out of business? How will you repair these cars? How will you maintain these cars? How would you even sell a car? They're going at some point to probably go out of business. People don't want this stuff. They don't want the glorified golf carts. They don't want to pay for them. In fact, I think these cars are ugly. They're inconvenient. They're unreliable. And America has spoken. And these companies are more than likely going to go out of business. And look, that's what the market dictates. If you don't have a product that people can afford, that they don't want, that they're not interested in, it just doesn't work. And think about how many of these companies would already be gone if it wasn't for all these government subsidies, all these government rebates. If you bought a car, you get $7,500 off. They were doing everything to promote this. They were doing everything on television, on all these channels, all these business channels, getting you to buy the stocks, to buy the vehicles. And, you know, boy, this is great. And how could you live without one of these? Well, guess what? People can live without EVs. In fact, it's much easier to live without an EV. Here's one from the Hedge today. Peter Schiff, household debt highest highest in nation's history. I thought it was a booming economy. He says here, if the economy was so good, they wouldn't have to depend on credit. And guess what? Probably 90% of this country is depending on credit. He was asked why the job report last month was so good. Peter said, because people are forced to take on 2 or 3 jobs because prices are going up faster than their paychecks. Their paychecks are not going up, but the prices of everything is. We've been replacing full-time jobs with part-time jobs. Peter went on to say, inflation far from being solved, and it's going to get much worse. And I think Peter Schiff is spot on. He's been more correct than most people on the television for sure. Jamie Dimon sells 822,000 shares of JP Morgan for the first time as stock hits all-time high. Did this yesterday. And so many insiders, Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, Jamie Dimon, the list goes on, are dumping so much stock. Warren Buffett, they're dumping all this stock. They're sitting on massive amounts of cash. What do they know that the average person doesn't? Why are they getting out when they're telling everybody to get in? They're telling you to buy, and buy, and the big whales, the big fish are getting out. They're dumping. They're going to cash. They're stacking up piles of cash because they know that things are about to go on sale, that these markets, at some point, they're going to pull the rug out. And the big guys, the big players will be long gone, waiting to scoop up your houses, your businesses, your land with all this cash. Here's another one from The Hedge. Absolutely crazy. Vacant LA office tower to be torn down for just 30 new EV charging stations. 8121 Van Nuys Boulevard. You have a 68,000 square foot commercial building, office building, slated for demolition. And what are they going to do with it? They're going to possibly put up a charging station. This is unbelievable. We are now watching buildings be torn down, demoed to put in tennis courts, and EV charging stations. We're now seeing these buildings go 80, 90% from what they were worth just a few years ago. I mean, this is unbelievable. Have you ever seen anything like this in your life? Did you ever think you would ever see anything like this in your life? We're talking Los Angeles real estate, 68,000 square feet. And to them, it makes more sense to just tear it down and put up some charging stations that nobody will be using, that probably some homeless people will be sleeping at. Maybe they'll rip out the copper, steal whatever they can from the charging stations, or it'll just be a homeless camp at some point. This is where we're at now, ladies and gentlemen. This is just, I mean, we're not in Kansas anymore, are we? I never ever thought I would ever be talking about stuff like this. I just never ever thought that I would see this country ever fall to the level it has fallen to. There is no way that America is a first world country at this point, in my opinion. And I think most people out there watching this video would agree. Yet we have people that cannot admit the truth. They will not face the facts. They will not face reality. They're too busy. They don't want to talk about it. It's too negative. It's too doom and gloom. It's just too painful to talk about. They would rather stay in their little bubbles. If you're in a bubble today, I pray to God that you pop your bubble, get out of your bubble immediately, and take some sort of action, that you get somehow involved in your community, involved in a good church, involved in your kids' lives, and take some sort of action, that you begin to ask questions, that you begin to voice your opinions and have other people hear you. Maybe people in your local government, maybe people in your church, maybe your neighbors, maybe other people in your family. We've been too silent for too long. This is why we're over $34 trillion in debt. This is why Social Security will be bankrupted by 2034 or sooner. This is why you'll be working till you're 100 years old. This is why most people have no retirement, no net worth, no savings. This is why most people are working paycheck to paycheck. They're too busy. They don't want to ask questions. They don't want to be negative. They're too scared. And at some point, a lot of you are going to regret that you didn't get involved. There's always something we can be doing. For God's sakes, make some videos. Post them on YouTube. Post them on TikTok. Post them on all your social media. People, we have a responsibility to continue waking up other people. Yes, most people will not listen. But I would say there are more people waking up now than any other time in history, and that's a good thing. We are going to be really tested and challenged as a nation, and if we're too scared, if we think it's too negative, if we don't make the time, if we don't get in this game, we're going to lose everything we have. Our freedom, our jobs, our future, our retirements, our pensions, the future of our kids, our history, everything. It just goes on and on and on. Our standard of living, our purchasing power, which is being destroyed daily. And so the longer we sit by and not say anything and ignore it and hope it all goes away, or that, you know, God's going to come out and fix everything because, you know, you're not doing anything, so he'll leave it to him. If we keep doing this, we're going to have nothing. God gave you free will. He gave you a brain. He gave you 2 arms, 2 legs. He gave you a voice. I advise that you start using all of them. I'm going to leave it there today. Have a good weekend. I hope that you're waking other people up. I hope that you're waking up. I hope that you're continuing to prepare. I hope that you're taking some sort of action. One day we're all going to meet our Maker, and he's going to ask us, what did you do? I blessed you to live in the greatest country on planet Earth. And what did you do? You let it fail. Did you help anybody? Did you wake anybody up? Did you fight for your country? Did you fight for your family? Did you do anything to make your country a better place? I hope that you can look at God and answer him. But most people probably will not. Because like most people, they're going to resort back to their skills, which is absolutely nothing. And so just like that, most people will never take action. And if you don't take action, you probably have no skills to fall back on. And you're just one of these people in America that just doesn't care. And when your country's gone, it will be gone. And unfortunately, people who are born after us will never really know how great this country was, because they will never really know what freedom was, what real capitalism, not crony capitalism, but what real freedom was, what real capitalism was, what real innovation was, what it was like to live in the greatest country on planet Earth. And now America will just be a socialist, communist country. It's up to us, America. We were handed this great nation, and now tough times are coming. We're going to see what people are made of. Stay safe. God bless. Talk to all of you soon.